morning, everybody, and welcome to the GSM's Pride. Hope you all had a great weekend. So I have a little bit of a confession to make. I feel like I've been kind of letting everyone down with the content that we've been putting out. Not from the editing standpoint, just from my content that I actually put out myself. You know, the whole premise of doing this channel was to give back to the industry, give some tips. When I say tips, just things that we may or may not do differently to everyone else, just to let you know how we do it. So I kind of wanted to hit the reset button a little bit. So what I decided to do is I just went around and recorded what we basically do on a daily or weekly or monthly basis. And I'm going to show you kind of the things that we do a little differently to try and make ourselves as good as we can. So this week, what I want to do is I actually went around and asked a couple of people, the sales team, if there was anything that they were struggling with and they needed to get some help on. So Abby this week, she actually asked me for some help on how to present a warranty. It was, you know, it's going to be a little different because I kind of bounced away from just the warranty side because she really doesn't need to sell warranties. That's my finance manager's job, but we do pay them to at least not present it per se, but just at least show them that there's one available, or some available, whichever works best. But either way, I'll show you what we did there, and then I will get you caught up from the week, and then we'll see what we're going to do next week. So I'll see you all in a bit. Right, first off, let's talk about what your whys.
My whys are basically just to be able to start saving for a down payment on a house and be able to basically supply myself for emergencies and have cash saved up.
What are your goals in the next 6 months, let's say?
Be in an apartment, hopefully have the Bronco, and be able to have a down payment of hopefully like $5,000 saved up.
Okay. You want to talk about warranties, mate?
I just don't know that much information on extended warranties.
What about CPO?
CPO, the Gold has 12 month, 12,000 mile comprehensive warranty and a 70 or 100,000 mile whenever the vehicle. What's
your hang up of selling warranties? Why do you feel that's a problem?
I don't think it's a problem. It's just something that I don't bring up as much as I probably should with my customers.
Yeah. New cars, in my honest opinion, I don't think it's really a place for you to bring up. The only thing I would necessarily say to you is when you're doing your investigation on the worksheet and it asks the question, do you already have any extended warranties on the vehicle? If they say yes, that's an opportunity for you to say, oh, well, we do offer warranties on new cars. I wouldn't get into the nuts and bolts with it. You don't need to. Because at the end of the day, the car's got balance manufacturers, and that's what the finance guys are there for. When it comes to used, however, you should be using warranties as a selling feature, especially when it's certified. Say, look, at the end of the day, the reason why it's a little bit more expensive is because we have certified the vehicle. You are getting the extra year. You are getting the 7 years, 100,000 mile powertrain, and you can get the wrap, or you can get an additional warranty to take it out. When you say you're struggling to sell it, what is your biggest hang up on it? What are you struggling with?
More of, I don't know how much it costs, or like, I don't know.
You don't need to know.
Okay.
Or you need to, if you ever have a customer say, well, how much is it? Say, unfortunately, I don't know. They vary because there's different levels of comprehensive coverage. They can range from $1,000 to $20,000, depends on the car and what coverage you get. Don't get into price. It's really this simple. Ask them if they have a warranty on this.
Okay.
Ask them if they are going to keep the car for a long time. If they're keeping the car for a long time, that's an easy transition into asking, just FYI, we do sell extended warranties, so if you do want further coverage, you can get it. It really is. It's really going to go back down to the basics of the fact finding is going to be the key. The more questions you ask, the easier it is to transition those questions into the customer. That's as simple as it gets. When you talk me through your process a little bit. When you take what's your process from start to finish? The second the customer wants.
Their timeline's usually a week or so. I don't try to push it as much on it, just because.
Let me ask you this question. Do you believe that anyone's on a week out basis when they're buying a car these days?
A week, maybe. Whenever people say two weeks or a month out, I don't believe it that much.
Why do you believe a week?
Just because there are a lot of dealerships and there is a lot of pre-owned vehicles right now.
So I'm going to kind of walk you down this path a little bit. So back when I first got in the car industry, there was internet, but really not prevalent in any way, shape or form. People used to go look at lots. Back then, the average was about 4.5 dealerships before they would buy a vehicle. Now it's 1.36, 1.4, let's say, okay? What does that tell you when I give you that stat?
More people are looking online at what they're wanting.
When they say they're a week out, they're not a week out. They've already been a week out. You know why they've been already a week out? Because they've already looked online. They've already done the shopping. Any customer that walks in that door, they're always pretty close to buying a car. There's something that stops them from buying the car. And there's only three things that it'll be. Do you know what those three are?
The person, the salesperson, the place, or the product.
Salesperson, price, or product?
Price, sorry.
Okay. So you've got to find what the true objection is out of this. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be here. It's usually price or the car. So here's the thing with the price. Right now, they've already done the investigation online. They know what that price is. They probably know what everyone else's price is too. It's pretty much the car. And that's where salesmanship comes in, of when to say things and when not to say things. One thing I'm going to give you a tip right now is stop asking about finance. All you need to ask is, how are you paying for the car? Don't ask, would you consider finance with us if you like the car? Don't ask that. Because all you're doing is creating an objection too soon. What you need to do is just say, how are you paying for the car? And if they say financing, say great. If they say cash, say, may I ask where you're getting your money from? Is it cash, or are you getting back an outside loan? If they say outside loan, all you say is, doesn't matter right now, but let me ask you a question. If I could beat that rate, would you consider doing it with us? Doesn't matter what the answer is at that point. You just need to know for your sake, because you can write down and just say, okay, they potentially would come back to it, would use us, or they won't. If they won't, what have you just done? You've highlighted an objection. I'm not saying address the objection right there, I'm saying just make a note of it, because you know you're going to have to get over that hurdle at some point. All your job is to find the true objections. And that's going to be one of them. You just got to, during the fact finding, the biggest thing about fact finding is to find the objections. That's what it's there for. You need to remember that, or even write it down so you can use it later. I'm not saying address it that right and then, because like with that guy that I told you the other day, it's irrelevant to that point until you figure out if they even want to buy the car.
Yeah.
The point is, all you're doing is why fact finding is so important. It's because you can revisit that later once you get down to the point of, okay, we've agreed on numbers, now I need you to finance with us. Then you bring that in. But you know that objection exists. What I've always tried to teach with everybody, and a lot of salespeople can't do this, is you deal with objections sooner than because a lot of people just wait to the end for that objection. Don't. I'm not saying deal with it right then, but at least know about it, and then you can deal with it later, and know that you've got to deal with that later. What I'm saying is, when you're walking these people down the path, there's got to be something about the car that is the reason they're not buying the car, and you need to find what that is. That's why we talked about that the other day, about the scratches on the car and stuff like that. You need to find out. When they come back, and you say, did you love the car? And they say, yeah, that's a good sign they're going to buy that car. If they say no, what is it about the car that you didn't like? That's all it is. That's as simple as this job. People make this job a lot harder than it is. I know you want to talk about warranties, but warranties really is not something that you really should be necessarily worried about. All you got to do is bring it up. You don't need to sell it. You don't need to worry about the pricing, all that kind of stuff. You just tell the customer there's options. They have options. And you can say that to a customer whether they said that they already have a warranty or not. You can say, it doesn't matter, you can just throw that in at some point. But you don't need to make a big deal out of it. All you need to say is, hey, just FYI, there is some extended warranty purchase. What are they? I'll get my finance manager to talk to you about that because I don't know the full ins and outs, and there's so many different options you can take. That's as easy as it gets for warranty. Don't stress yourself out about that. My concern is that what you're doing when you get a customer, you're trying to hit objections way too soon. And what I meant was, when I trained you, was I don't want you to deal with it necessarily. You just need to remember that's going to be there at some point. If they just tell you, well, I'm just looking, I'm a week out. In my opinion, I'd say BS. Because my next question would be that. So have you done no online shopping at all? Zero? Oh yeah, I have. So you've really narrowed it down then, right? Yeah. Okay, then this is probably the car. There's only 3 reasons why you're not going to buy it, and that's me, the price, or you don't like the car. Let's worry about a look at the car first, so we can figure out if you like it and want it. That's how easy it is. It's all about the presentation and the direction you take the customer. And it's not manipulation, it's just a matter of asking the right questions at the right time. And that will come with experience. You'll know that you've made mistakes in the past, and you already have, but I shouldn't bring that up right now. It's irrelevant. Again, I need you to investigate deeper, but I need you to learn when and when not to bring that up. And that will take time. Unfortunately, I can't just tell you because each customer is different and different objections are going to come up at different times. Just remember that you don't need to hit them all right then and there. Just remember.
When do you think the best time to deal with the objection?
Give me an objection.
My guy wanted $10K off of the car that we have.
Okay, is that after or before it drove the car?
After.
Okay. So do you like the car?
He did, yeah.
Okay. The question would be next is, where are you coming up with that number? We both know that you've already looked online.
I did ask him, I said, is it just trying to get closer to a payment? He said, no, I just think that's what it's worth.
And then you say, I'm not going to take that up to my manager because I know it's not going to happen. I'm wasting your time and you're wasting my time. Because I'm not going to discount a car $10,000.
I just think I need to get some guts and action.
You do, yeah. And just say to him, I'm not even going to waste my time walking up there because that is ridiculous. Right now, cars are going for more. And then with that guy specifically, what you should have said was this. And this is, yes, getting some guts. And saying, so what you're telling me is you want more than MSRP for yours, but you want less than MSRP for mine. How do you figure that works? That's what I was saying. How do you figure that works? Why should I give you more than your car's worth for mine, and you give me less than mine's worth? Why would you do that?
Yeah, I do need it. That is one thing I do.
Yeah. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of?
I don't do well with confrontation.
But what are you afraid of? I'm trying to help you with your conversation.
Just
what are you afraid of?
Them getting an attitude with me.
Okay, so what? They're not going to hit you, they're not going to hurt you, are they?
No.
What happens if they walk out and they're mad?
And they walk out.
Nothing happens. If someone says no and they walk out and they're all pissed, okay, great, whatever. As long as you can, like I've said all the time, as long as you can go into the bathroom, look in the mirror and say, I did everything I could to help that customer, that's up to them. If they want to have an attitude, have an attitude. I had a lady on the phone yesterday who was selling her car from Bijan. I wanted to reduce the price because I think Jeff was too high. She said, well, I'll be there. I said, great, but I won't be signing the check. You can come and waste your time all you want, but I won't sign the check. And I said, what makes you think you have the right to demand that I pay something for that it's not worth? Would you do the same? She goes, no. I said, then what do you, don't sit there and demand to me. You have a lot of right to hold your ground with customers. Don't let people walk over you. I never do. I've thrown customers out of showrooms.
Do you worry though if, like, I know Corey's very blunt and everything with his customers. One thing I worry about is if I am blunt and talk like that with my customers and stuff, at the end, if they do end up purchasing, get that survey too.
Do you know what makes the best salespeople?
honesty.
No, people that can mirror other people's demeanor and actions. If the customer's not being rude to you, then don't be rude back. Don't be blunt. That's something that Corey's got to learn, because Corey will be very blunt with customers, no people. Yeah. You know, a long time ago, someone told me the best salespeople are chameleons, because what they do is they mirror their surroundings. Now, knowing more about reptiles than that, that's not technically true of chameleon, but I understand the analogy. They're the best people. The best salespeople can talk to a business guy that makes $1 million a year with respect and treat him good, and then, not to be any disrespectful, talk to a subprime person and get down on their level a little bit more and talk to them like they do. That's what makes them a good salesperson. A good guy to see in that is Paul. Paul is very good at getting on the level with the customer, no matter what the situation. And I'll tell you one thing that I've watched Paul, and you should watch him on this. If he has a racist customer, Paul loves those the best, because he'll turn him. He makes them fall in love with him. And I've had a customer before in the past come to me and say, I didn't really want to deal with a black guy, but now I've changed my mind. And that was a fact. You've got to figure out to mirror how things are going. If they're being rude, you be rude. Don't be so rude that you're swearing or saying demeaning things, but don't let them walk over you. If they're being rude, then say, look, I'm not asking you to be rude. You're being rude for no reason. All I'm here for is to try and do what you came in for, and that's purchase a car. If you want to buy the car, that's fine. But I want to try and help you get to that point. And you're being rude for no reason. Just tell them that, I would. And just say, look, I'm just being honest with you. At the end of the day, you're asking for a ridiculous amount of money off that I don't have and I won't give. So I'm just not going to keep doing it. The only one that you cannot go back on is if they say that their credit's less than a 6. Because ultimately at that point, you have to figure out if they can even buy a car, let alone try and sell one. You're just going to waste your time. I'm not saying you cannot physically do it. I'm saying you're just going to waste your entire time if you're showing them the Mercedes outside and they're a 6 and they can't buy a Mercedes. You're just wasting your time. So that's the only one you're in to stop and go, okay, I'm out. The other ones are there to plant the seeds. How much you want for your trade? Oh, I want 13 grand. Where are you coming up with that number? Because that's an objection you've got to address. But you're not really addressing the objection as a true objection. All you're doing is planting a seed in their head that it's probably not going to be $13,000. Alright, does that help you a little bit?
Yeah.
I know that was a lot of information.
Yeah.
Slow down, gain confidence, and follow the roadmap. Okay? And just remember everything that customer says. Alright?
Mm-hmm.
That help?
Yep.
And don't worry about warranties. Just tell them what I told you to say.
Well, that's it for this week's vlog. I really hope you got a little bit out of that. So like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it up a little bit. And obviously what I did is I went around to all the salespeople and see if they needed some assistance on anything. And Abby came back and she needed the assistance on the warranties. Now I know our talk kind of ended up not being about the warranties because I think she was misinterpreted some of our training in the past where she didn't realize that she didn't have to sell the warranty per se. She just had to more just mention the warranty. So again, as always, put some comments down below so we can try and get some feedback on what you actually want up there. On this side, I'm going to put up a link to my next video. Up on this side, I'm going to put my subscription, and up in the top corner, subscription to Luke Fuse Ford. And as always, hit that post notification button, like the video, subscribe to the page, and I'll see you all next week.